The gulls and terns might be said to be water-loving aerialists. While ducks, loons, and cormorants spend their lives on and in the water, taking wing only to quickly travel point to point, gulls and terns hover and glide, touching down to seize food, or especially in the gulls, to rest. Their sleek shapes and graceful flight styles are complemented by elegant color schemes of basic whites, blacks, and grays, often accented by colorful bills and feet. Some species, like the Arctic tern or the Franklin's gull, undertake long migrations. Others are models of tenacity, inhabiting far northern latitudes in truly difficult conditions. The gulls and terns include some of our most common and familiar birds, and some of our rarest and most exotic. Why, then, do so many birders appear to loathe or even fear them? You'll never hear a birder say, "I can't stand grebes," or "nuthatches make me sick." But it's not uncommon to hear someone say only partly in jest, "I don't do gulls." Terns, it's true, fare better, but even they suffer from the perception that they are all so similar as to be unidentifiable. And yes, there's a great deal to be learned on one's way from gullophobe to larophile. But if you take things easy and don't let the learning curve discourage you, you'll find much to enjoy about the gulls and terns. Terns are generally smaller, more streamlined, and have deeper, snappier wing beats than gulls. Gulls tend to be larger and rounder, and to fly with slower, more shallow flaps. A big, heavy tern like Caspian is often said to be gull-like, while a smaller, more nimble gull such as Bonaparte's is often called tern-like. Most terns have forked, swallow tails, at least during the breeding season. Their bills are slender and spiky. The majority plunge into the water to catch live fish or other prey animals. Many terns are white to silvery gray, often wearing black caps during the breeding season. Typical terns include species like common, Forster's, Arctic, and roseate. Identifying them can be challenging and involves learning details of plumage variation, shape, and distribution. Some terns depart from the norm in interesting ways. Except for their slim bills, the noddies might be said to be the anti-terns. Their tails are longest in the middle, not at the sides, and their color scheme of dark bodies with white caps is virtually a photonegative of the classic pattern. Most terns are colonial, scraping out a hollow on sandy beaches or amidst grasses where they deposit their eggs. Any animal intruding on the colony's land or airspace can expect a vigorous defense, including dive-bombing assaults from angry parents. Gulls may be colonial, or they may breed in single pairs, and that gets at the heart of what makes them at least occasionally unpopular. They are so darn variable. Breeding strategies are the least of it. Many gulls, especially the larger white-headed species, take 3 or 4 years to reach their adult appearance. Along the way, they go from a streaky brownish to clean whites, grays, and blacks. It's sometimes necessary to age a gull correctly before it can be identified with confidence. Fortunately, if you know what a gull looks like in both its first year and adult plumages, you should be able to identify most of the species in their intermediate stages. Smaller gulls are easier, since they pass through fewer plumage stages on their way to adulthood. So even if you don't do big, white-headed 4-year gulls, you can still appreciate Bonaparte's, Laughing, Franklin's, and others. And even the most committed gull haters can't resist the charms of stunners like Sabins, Rosses, and Ivory gulls. If you're up for the challenge, a great way to start learning to age and identify the larger gulls is to review the plates and text in your Peterson guide that detail the plumage sequence of herring, ring-billed, and Bonaparte's gulls. Then head down to the local dump, sewage plant, or other prime gull watching spot, especially in late fall and early winter, when gulls are freshly molted and easiest to age. They may never become your favorite group of birds, but gulls and terns can quickly become birds you welcome rather than dread.